Hi everybody, welcome to my Battlefield 5 versus Battlefield 4 comparison video where we're going to be looking at graphics, sound, gunplay, and most importantly, gameplay. So, the Battlefield 5 beta's on at the time when I'm recording this video. When you're watching it, it might well have finished and you'll probably be thinking, well, I really enjoy Battlefield 4. Is Battlefield 1 for me? Well, if we're talking about graphic-wise, Battlefield 1 looks really, really good. You see the textures look fantastic, but I still think that Battlefield 4 looks amazing as well. What you're seeing here is captures from the PlayStation 4, so you know these aren't PC Ultras or anything like that. But both games, I think those helicopters bang into each other. Both games are really good. And I think graphically wise, you'll be very pleased with Battlefield 5. Sound, again, both games are marvellous. I think the guns probably in Battlefield 1 sound a bit better. At the moment in the beta, there's definitely some problems with sound. They haven't put in the music that hopefully we're going to get, like that swelling music like we get in Battlefield 1. But you can always turn that off anyway. And there's certain things that happen that you don't really hear. There's definitely some bugs, especially on PC. There's got some sound bugs. Now, as far as gunplay goes, it depends what you like, really. I think the gunplay in Battlefield 1, the guns feel they have more impact. They have more presence than the guns in Battlefield 4. Now, this may be because of a difference in the era. You know, when you're playing with the PDWs and the assault rifles in Battlefield 4, they're more precision instruments. You know, you're talking sort of 50, 60 years later. So when you're going full auto with a Coyote sight on, that's very different from using an STG-44 with the magnified sight. That, although is a nice assault rifle, it's one of the first assault rifles, and it tends to jump around a lot. You could say that the assault rifles in Battlefield 4, I think sometimes they sound a little bit like sewing machines, you know. Yeah, whereas definitely the guns in Battlefield 5, I think, have a lot more presence. Now, the thing that you're really coming for, which is the gameplay. Does Battlefield 5 offer you the same core experience that Battlefield 4 does? The answer to that is really tricky, because obviously we've got Conquest and we're going to get Rush and we're going to get different game modes that we want. But there's been some changes to the underlying mechanics of Battlefield and Battlefield 5 that do change things quite a bit. And the main ones of these are the lack of 3D spotting. So you can't spot someone in Battlefield 5 in the same way. If they're suppressed, you can spot them, but it's really tricky. It's not something you're going to be doing very often. Snipers can spot people with their sniping, and they have a special sniping monocular they can use. But in Battlefield 4, as you're going around, you tend to be tapping on the consoles anyway. You're tapping your shoulder button, just like I am there, in order to identify targets. Not really for you, although it's helpful for you if you've got to run around a rock. You can still know where the enemies are. But also for your squad mates and your teammates, who can then go, aha! There's an enemy there. Let's crack on with taking them down. The criticism of this is that it ends up with everybody firing at spotting marks, you know, at the Doritos, and not firing at people. Which is good. But what happens in Battlefield 5 is it can be very difficult to see enemies, especially against the clutter, because, as I've said, it's a very good-looking game. You know, there's loads going on, more than you'll see in Battlefield 4. But it does mean that if someone is especially if they're just standing still in a corner in a dark area of the map, you can't really see them very well. And you may well have seen them and started firing at them, but your squad mate who's right next to you, he might not be able to see them anyway. So that is quite different, and it means you have to slow down and you have to really look and really concentrate a lot more on where the enemies are going to go. They've changed the kill cam as well, so you don't really see when you've shot the person. When somebody's shot you, you sometimes see like a kind of a red ghost effect, and you go, "Oh, that's where they are." but lots of time you won't see anything, and it's not obvious where you got shot from. And I think this aids campers in Battlefield 5, because it means that if you find somewhere nice and dark in a corner that you just shoot people from, the people you're shooting won't always know where you are, because generally what happens in Battlefield 4 is if someone's in that sort of situation, you will then hunt them out, won't you, and you'll go and kill them. But by far the biggest change to the game is scarcity and attrition in Battlefield 5. So what this means is when you spawn in, say, as the assault class with 60 bullets, and it's the same for all of them. You spawn in with just 2 clips. Now, when you spawn in, you can see there, spawning in Battlefield 4, I'm spawning in with 150 bullets, more than twice the number. I know in Battlefield 4 that, okay, it's nice to have more ammo for things like grenades and rockets, but generally you never run out of bullets on a single life, unless you're having if you're an average player like me, and you're on an average run, you'll just be running around killing people. In Battlefield 5, you will absolutely 100% run out of bullets if you don't. Go to a supply dump and pick up some more ammo, or unless you've got a support player with you who's chucking you ammunition. Because what will happen is you'll push a flag and you'll start firing at say, the people on the flag, and you might get a kill, and they might put their heads down. You'll fire again, you'll reload twice, and that's it, you're out of ammo. So you really do have to slow down. You've really got to try and play with your squad, and your support player has to be handing out ammunition. You've got to think about visiting ammo dumps and med dumps before you get involved in firefights. Often while you're on a flag, defending it, you've got to think about, is there an ammo dump on the flag? Where is it? How do I get to it? So I can replenish my ammo. Or if you've got support players, you've got to be lobbing out your ammo. As you're going from place to place, you've got to think about that as well. So that's scarcity, and you also have this kind of idea of attrition, whereby when you're by yourself, you don't regenerate health. There's no auto health regen. The only way to regen health is with a medic pack, which you can pick up from a medic dump in one of the flags or at your base dotted around the map, or if a medic throws you some medicine. So what happens is often, if you're playing by yourself, like as a lone wolf, you'll get injured and you'll go and hide somewhere, but you don't recover health. You know, you'll still be really low, and so you need to find a medic, or you need to find a medicine supply dump to do that. So again, that's forcing you to come together as a squad, so that as you're playing with the squad, you start getting onto health regen, but also then your medic can start throwing stuff at you. So these two things together, and with the lack of spotting, make it a very different game. They slow it down an awful lot, so it can be very different. The way I like to think about it, think of Battlefield 5 as almost like a different mode of Battlefield. You know, it's still Battlefield, but you've got to, you know, like when you play hardcore, you've got to be very careful, haven't you? Because you're not sure who the enemies are. There's no tags on them, and you don't want to accidentally hit your teammates and get kicked out of the game. It's a bit like that when Battlefield 5 on the normal mode. Not that you know friendly fire's turned on, but that you've got to go very careful. Right, where might the enemies be on this flag? How do I figure out where they're going to be? How do I approach this flag safely? And where do I get all my ammo from? Where are my squad points? That sort of thing. So it's a much more considered approach, much more slower paced game to start off with. You kind of have this slow pace. Then all this violence as you're taking a flag or defending a flag, and then you have these lulls. So far, I haven't really had the massive cinematic experiences and those. I don't want to say I haven't had any Battlefield moments in Battlefield 5, because there have been some really good moments when you're like, wow, that's really cool. But not like you've seen in this comparison video, like at the beginning with those helicopters hitting each other and stuff like that. But you do have things like that, you know, with Spitfires going over, V1 bombs coming in, Tiger tanks, you know, rolling around and doing stuff. I think Battlefield 5 will please the more hardcore players of Battlefield. It's a more realistic version of World War II. I know Battlefield 4 is not set in World War II, it's set in like a future conflict. I think as we play Battlefield 5 more, when we have the full release, we'll like it more. I think the skill ceiling is quite high. to play the game very, very well. So it's going to be very interesting indeed. And I know I was probably quite down on the beta and Battlefield 5 to start off with my first impressions, but I think DICE will probably make some balance changes before we go in to the full release. And I think this is going to be a very interesting Battlefield to play as well. Maybe not as fun as Battlefield 4 in terms of the hectic things that are going on and like that, but in terms of thinking more. And it kind of sometimes reminds me of playing a Battle Royale mode when you're playing Conquest or the other modes, because you've really got to think about what you're doing. So anyway, there we go. Battlefield 5 versus Battlefield 4. Graphically, they're both great. Sound, they're both great. Gunplay, I'd probably give to Battlefield 5. Gameplay, they're different beasts. But I'm sure if you enjoy Battlefield 4, you will enjoy Battlefield 1 once you get used to that lack of spotting. Scarcity and Attrition. Anyway, that's not from me. Put your questions and comments down below what you think. If you enjoy the video, hit like if you want to see more, then press subscribe. Thank you very much, and I will see you again soon.
Attention, objective Baker has been lost. We've neutralized objective Charlie.
Standing by, Sergeant.
Be aware, we have lost objective Dog. I have spotted enemy UAV.
Granatu!
Objective Charlie is now ours.
Right, capture the objective.
Objective Charlie neutralized. taken objective Baker.
Hello, old friend.
I have eyes on hostile inside tank soldiers west of your position.
We've neutralized objective Foxtrot. Be aware we have lost objective Baker.
Lobbing grenade!
Objective Gunplay is neutralized. There is an enemy helicopter south of your first position.
We have now taken objective Dog.
Обнаружен вражеский танк.